Hey everybody, this is Bill Murphy here with MMORPG.com and Garrett Fuller of MMORPG.com, talking with the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Roberts of Roberts Space Industries. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So you kind of had maybe a little bit of a big deal at this show, right? Maybe kind of a big deal. The dogfighting module was shown off Thursday night in front of a live audience, in front of 17,000 plus people on Twitch, and then Chris promptly crashed.
I did.
How'd that feel?
I crashed well. Crashed many times.
But in any case, the game looks fantastic. It looks great. But for those of you who maybe weren't able to watch the stream or you haven't caught up to exactly what the dogfighting module is, it's not just go out there and play around in space and shoot some stuff. There's actually a lot to it. It's a whole other game. So, Chris, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you and just let you tell us everything that you told us Thursday night in front of all those people about what is it called? Arena Commander, right?
Arena Commander. Yeah. So kind of if you've played any of my games in the past, I always like to try and put you in the world and the fiction. So we actually had one of the features that we'd sort of promised as our stretch goals, and it was always kind of in the design, was to have the ability to practice flying around, dogfighting, and also play against other people in a manner that wouldn't risk your ship. Right, so like in Star Citizen proper, as you fly out, you lose your ship, and so that can be a pretty big thing. So if you want to just learn how to dogfight, you probably don't want to go out there and risk your ship. So the idea was that we were going to have this sort of kind of simulator inside the game, right? So you're in your hangar, you can load up a simulator and practice, and so in sort of the spirit of Wing Commander, where there was like an arcade machine in the pilot's mess and the first one that you could practice flying around, we sort of came up with Arena Commander, and we sort of had some fun with it, right? So Arena Commander is made by Original Systems, which has kind of a sort of nod to some of my past. And we have a nice backstory that we came up with it. But yes, the idea is that this is sort of like this future sim that you can plug into. People download the software. It allows you to sort of practice flying and also compete and fight against other people. So longer term, as the game expands, especially as we get into the proper game, we'll also have sort of competitions like who's the best Arena Commander pilot or whatever. So you don't necessarily have to do that, but it's sort of an aspect of esports that can also be inside Star Citizen.
And it's not going anywhere. What you're saying then is like just because you have the dogfighting module now, it means it's going to be part of the full final game.
Yeah, it's totally part of it. I mean, we built it. We're trying to build all the parts in that you're getting bits of the game as we go along. So it's not like here's a placeholder, then it gets replaced by something else. No, this Arena Commander will be in the final game. It just will have a lot more features in the final game. And it will be part of who's the best dogfighter? Well, people can resolve that in Arena Commander versus resolve it necessarily out in space maybe
you and your friends can have a team and that goes against other teams.
So kind of the idea would be inside the Star Citizen universe, you could have your version of esports, but it would be an in-fiction esports. Yeah. Right? So you could even have people in their bars around the planets watching whatever the Arena Commander Grand Championship on the monitor. So that's kind of the idea. It's just, like, for me, I just want everything to keep you in the world and not sort of pull you out into some artificial, construct, basically.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Eddie, quick. One of the cool things about the dogfight module that we saw is it really lends itself to the potential for virtual reality. We talked about the Oculus. You were on a panel with those guys, and as we were watching it,
I actually think we had a HD Oculus set up there, and you may not have had a chance to put it on, but
you did. No, see, we didn't see. Oh, now you're. but it lends itself. What's it like working with that technology for you? Because the cockpit scenario and looking out the cockpit and going into combat. It really, really, really looks amazing.
Yeah, well, it definitely. I mean, I would say that the VR aspect, like something like an Oculus Rift, works really well with a sort of Star Citizen space combat scenario because you're in a seat. So the problem is in a first-person shooter running around, it's like you're running around, but like if you're seated, it feels a bit disconnected. Whereas you're flying a ship, of course you're seated. So, and then if you've got like a HOTAS setup and you got the Oculus Rift on it, I mean. Pretty much that's mimicking the setup that you're seeing through virtual reality. And then if you have little details like, on ours you can look down and you can sort of see your hands move and do stuff on the throttle. And yeah, I mean, it really makes the cockpit feel present. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the sort of most recent version, which the what they call the Crystal Cove, which has the full head tracking because that gives an extra level of fidelity. So we're going to support all those aspects of it, and I think it will it'll be a whole nother level. So I mean, the only problem I have right now with the VR stuff is the initial, like, where my controls bit is.
You can't see what you're actually holding.
So I mean, I've told Palmer and Brendan that, like, what they really need is they need a camera on the front of the headset, so you can blend in real life, and then turn that off and down to know when you do this stuff. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be great. I mean, especially for something like a Star Citizen. I mean, it'll work well for other sort of more cockpit-oriented stuff. I mean, I know they've got Eve Valkyrie
and then the shooting parts too.
Well, the shooting parts, yeah. So yes, less so just because the running around bit's a bit weird. But I think for us, our stuff, it would work pretty well because our first-person combat's not sort of as fast-paced as, say, something like a Call of Duty would be, because it's more tactical. It's more, a bit more cat and mouse. Because when you're boarding a ship, it's not like there's waves of enemies you're fighting. It's going to be, you and 4 or 5 of your friends trying to take out 4 or 5 other people, and so that will be more sort of kind of cat and mouse tactical.
Duck and cover kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. That's very cool. Well, actually, one of the things I wanted to ask, and they'll be able to hear me, don't worry too much, is with the backer system as it is now, now that people are starting to see the dogfighting thing, have you already seen even more people starting to back it? Like, okay, now we're true believers. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, it's been a bit of a blur since Thursday night. I mean, I think that you probably have to wait till it's.
You're not getting iPhone reminders yet?
till it's out, right? So we still got a few weeks before we're going to get out. I mean, we've got some back-end sort of cloud stuff to fix with our sort of back-end server, just make sure things are a bit more reliable. So hopefully by the end of this month, or probably more likely the very beginning of next month.
May.
I mean, because we're almost halfway through April now, so I've only about 2.5 weeks left. So got to get back in the office, and we'll get back up to speed. So yeah, I mean, probably beginning of May. Then I think that when people can play it and they can play against their friends, you'll see some more people.
And for those who, and forgive me for asking if I'm not supposed to ask it again, but at the event they asked about a customized Star Citizen stick control system.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything you can share on that, or other than you see the potential there really?
Well, we see the potential. We're in discussions with all the usual suspects on doing that. So it'll be fun. We definitely would like to. I mean, we're very keen on supporting a whole bunch of peripherals and controllers. I mean, I think that's part of the spirit of PC, right? So like you variety, options. Do you want to play with a joystick? Do you want to play with a keyboard and mouse? Do you want to play with a gamepad? You can do all those things, whereas you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that on a console. And so that's a big thing for us. And so having a full HOTES setup with completely customized for what we're doing is definitely something we're keen on, and I'm pretty confident that it's something that we will do.
Absolutely.
So we're just trying to figure out who the best partner is, and what makes the most sense for all our community.
I'm going to say that actually lends into my next question, which is, as we were watching the module, you have the G-forces to think about, you have your thrusters to think about, you have your lasers and your missiles. There's a lot of thought goes into a fight.
The G-force thing was probably the coolest thing I saw, because as you're taking on more Gs, you're actually going to watch your guy start to pass out, and you won't be able to see anything until you're.
Oh yeah, well, and it's not even that's gonna. There's a whole, but I didn't have all the full visual stuff. So there's sound cues. You can hear yourself breathing. Like if you ever see a pilot flying, as they pull Gs, they start to go, because it's hard to breathe. And also, we disabled it, but there's 2 levels. You do G-lock, right, where you sort of black out, and then when you come back in, there's abs in cap, which is absolute incapacitation, right, and then there's partial incapacitation, which means when you come back in, you're like you've come to, but you can't move.
Can't do much, like coming right out of like anesthetic or something like
that.
Yeah.
So and that's in their model. The only thing is we just disabled it for when I was doing the demo, because we don't have the visual effects. Because the idea is when you're coming back to, it's sort of like it'll be like the movies where like your screen's a bit blurry, and then you're like it blinks a little bit, like your eyes are blinking, and then you come to. But the concept with it, I mean, basically all of these aspects are things to add strategy to the dogfighting of the combat, because of like, so Wing Commander, you could just go and you fight a bunch of Kilrathi coming towards you, and relatively they were pretty weak next to you, and you could down 10, 20 Kilrathi ships. But this game's different. It's a big open universe, so you'll be playing against other players or tough NPCs, and so you're not really going to be able to just go pop, 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 and
they're done.
So the combat's going to be, there'll be more strategy to it. It'll be a bit more of a chess game. It'll be more about balancing your energy and your positional place and whether you take risks or not. So the G-Force thing's a great example of like the risk taking, because you can set the IFCS by default will be set to safety mode on, which means the flight control system will never allow your ship to pull enough Gs to make you black out. And so what will happen is essentially at higher speeds you won't turn as tight of a turn and all the rest of the stuff. And then so what we're going to allow is some pilots so you can disable the safety mode, and then like anything there's always a range between like safe and you've blacked out. And so a more aggressive pilot can live on the edge and be just on the edge of blacking out, and maybe he gets an advantage in a turning battle because of that. But his downside is if he misjudges it, he's done. He blacks out.
Like the decoupling and everything like that. When you just do a quick turn like that, you might, you're kind of pushing your luck a little bit.
Well, yeah. Although the decoupling, like generally, like the G-forces would generally be actually vector changes, because the decoupling, unless you were like way out on the side of your ship and you span, you wouldn't, like you're close to the center of mass, you won't have a lot of G-forces.
See, the full physics model that I have no idea about.
It is.
Yeah, no, it's
physics, everybody.
It's pretty crazily. I mean, it's pretty crazily modeled, but the hope with it is that on the base level it doesn't get in the way, right? So you can have fun, you can play in a very simple sort of Wing Commander style, but the nuance is there. So if you want to sort of peel off the layers of the onion and get down and really sort of fine tune it, you'll be able to do it.
And if you
that's
push your skills too, like
really
start to
and that's kind of like, so my design analogy with this is I sort of felt like because there'll be other players and a lot of other stuff, you need these levels. So you need it to be easy to get into, like say a Wing Commander. So just fly simple. That's the IFCS taking care of you. Nanny mode or whatever we've been calling it. And but then you have all these levels. So the equivalent would be like, like if you're you see the competitive StarCraft players, and they're all the keys and all this. Yeah, I mean it's crazy, right? But you can still play with just your mouse and click and click, right? So I sort of feel that's kind of what you need, is you need something that's nice and simple, but you can really sort of, you can get in and start tweaking all the dials if you want.
As you get comfortable.
And that can give you this slight little edge. So if you get super competitive in that aspect, then you have all these different things to play with.
And then every ship's different too, so you might be really good in one ship and then feel comfortable doing that, but then need to work on it with another ship.
And that's another big focus, is that we really try to, there isn't like any ship in the design that's like, okay, this ship's the, I mean basically there's like, this is good at this role, this is good at this role, this is good at this role. And I think that's kind of like real life, and so that's kind of one of the design goals, is to have a lot of different ships that, I definitely could see people having multiple ships in their hangar, because this one would be good for trading, this one would be good for dogfighting.
Some already do.
And depending on what they're doing, that's kind of, that to me that feels like a more fun game than having one ship that sort of be it all for all the different modes.
We met one of the guys that had 90 ships already.
90 ships.
Yeah, you may not need 90 ships.
You may not need 90, but
that's a bit crazy.
I do think, though, ultimately the ships actually almost become the characters themselves. They really do, and that's what you look at.
To the point when you can deck them out your way and make them look the way.
Well, we're going to have some of that, and some stuff that we haven't shown is, we have aging, like wear and tear on the ships, and you visually will be able to see, like I mean, I could show you in the editor, I can like show you the ship. This is pristine, and I can slide it, and you can sort of see it, and it all looks kind of aged and wrinkled and dinged up. So we're going to have that. I mean, like all the ships will sort of like, they will take wear and tear on as you spend time and you're flying around the universe, and then occasionally you'll have to take them in to service them. I mean, it'd just be kind of like aspects of real life.
Agency and get them.
Yeah.
Space towing. There you go. So just lastly, you mentioned it right before the interview. You are going to have like leaderboards and a whole back end support, which we didn't really get to talk about much.
Oh yeah, no, we totally do. So we've got a full, it's going to be integrated into our website, and the organizations, all there's sort of individual leaderboards, group leaderboards. We have different game modes. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't actually on the Thursday night demo. I didn't really get to demo that because the patches system like failed in delivering that, so I couldn't show off all the stuff. so I think in the next week or two we'll probably put some video or maybe even live stream it so it works properly. But yeah, it's really cool. So it's not just, I mean, the idea was, okay, we're going to do this dogfighting. Well, let's make it kind of like almost its own mini game inside a game, and to give everyone that's back in the game something to like play and have a lot of fun with. And it will also help us make the game better, right? So we're going to use that feedback to balance. We're going to use that. We're going to sort of use the performance metrics to see how we can be optimizing the net code and all the rest of the stuff. So it'll be useful, but we're sort of making it its own sort of game. I mean, yes, it's not the full Star Citizen experience where you go between the planets and do all the rest of stuff. But just by itself, I think we're going to be at least giving you as much functionality as you had when something like World of Tanks first came out. So it's sort of like arena combat with spaceships, which is pretty cool, and it's set inside, like I said, the fictional setting of
and different game modes and
arena
all that stuff too.
Yep.
So you'll have like the team deathmatch, right? Like
there's going to be what we call battle royale, which is sort of the free for all. There's the kind of team deathmatch. There's a capture the flag mode, which is I think called capture the core. There's a sort of AI horde mode, which is the swarm, and so. There will be different things. So there'll be AI.
And then free flight too, right?
Yeah, and free flight, which is just fly around, kind of look at things. So I mean, there should be plenty of stuff for people to do and kind of have some fun in the structure. So that's sort of the goal, and I think I mean, hopefully everyone out there likes it.
And full stat tracking and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much. You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, thanks again, man. Everybody's looking forward to it, guys. We're at PAX East with Chris Roberts.
You said May. Remember May.
The Star Citizen continues to grow and looks better and better. We can't wait for more. So thank you.